After coming home from school, the child saw two pots on the stove. One pot was empty with no meat, while the other was full of meat. The pot filled with meat was prepared for the stepmother and her daughter, while all he got to eat every day was just a few scraps of meat. Because he was not related by blood, he was always treated coldly and the food was divided unequally. Without knowing the real reason, he swallowed his anger in silence and promised himself he would repay all of this treatment. After graduating from high school, he left home and moved to Tokyo to seek his fortune. 15 years later, unexpectedly, he became a successful entrepreneur and lived a luxurious life, while his stepmother and stepsister remained in the old house. Even after enjoying all sorts of expensive dishes, there was one taste he always longed for: his biological mother's potato stew. However, his mother had long since passed away, and that longing seemed impossible to cure. Until one day, he heard about a small shop in Kyoto that helped people rediscover the flavors of their memories. At this place, guests did not choose from a menu. All the dishes were decided by the owner based on the guests' stories and memories. The man shared the story of his life. His mother passed away when he was 5 years old. His father remarried a year later, then passed away not long after he graduated from elementary school. Since then, he lived with his stepmother and older sibling, but always felt neglected. His request was simple: he just wanted to eat his mother's potato stew. However, his memory of the potato stew was very vague, slightly reddish, and always accompanied by the image of mountains. With so little to go on, recreating the dish seemed almost impossible. Even so, the shop owner was moved and determined to help. She went to the man's hometown to look for clues. During the journey, a simple encounter led her to information about the region's special potato stew. However, the reddish color and the image of the mountains remained a mystery. Eventually, she visited the man's stepmother's house. 2 weeks later, the potato stew was served before the man. But after tasting it, he became angry because the flavor was just like his stepmother's cooking. He felt the dish was a failure. The owner then explained that 2 weeks earlier, the stepmother had handed over an old notebook containing the child's eating habits since childhood, written by his biological mother. When she was gravely ill, his biological mother entrusted the book so that her child would continue to be cared for with great attention. The recipe for potato stew was recorded in it. The name of the dish used canned meat, whose pronunciation resembled the word mountain. That's why the image of mountains always appeared. The reddish color came from pureed carrots, because he used to dislike them. He tasted the stew once again. Now he was sure this was the flavor he had been searching for all along. The owner also explained the reason for the two pots in the kitchen back then. One pot hadn't had meat added yet because his stepmother was waiting for him to come home, so the meat and eggs could be added at the last moment to prevent them from sticking. That woman never made any distinctions. She faithfully upheld the trust and love of his biological mother. The misunderstanding that had been buried for years was finally unraveled. The man wept, realizing that he had two mothers who both loved him equally.